Hello and welcome to NUSA 360. We're joined, obviously, you know myself, my face is usual. You've probably known it for a long, long time. We've got Zen, who's new to NUSA 360, and you might notice the other face, the face of probably a game against Wolves that we've had recently. We could say a lucky charm because since then we haven't won a game. So, Emma, you're probably the only lass from Newcastle that accent's probably got a little bit strong further north.
It's fair to say, yeah. I mean, people actually don't believe me when I say I'm from Newcastle with this accent.
Oh, no. So, obviously, they said you've come from Newcastle. Yeah. Obviously, you haven't. You're not living there now. You probably haven't been here for quite a while. There is Newcastle still that place that you call home? Do you still get like the feelings when you come back?
Absolutely. Honestly, I mean, my parents moved to Scotland about 40 years ago, and they still have broad Geordie accents. And they still talk about going home. And yeah, it's always been that way. I used to come down every summer holidays to see my grandparents and all my aunts and cousins and things. And so, yeah, when I go back, I definitely get like a really warm feeling. Like, I love it. It helps that I've still got a lot of family that live there, but I definitely feel like I'm in amongst sort of my own people. And yeah, it's always really, really nice. And I actually don't think Newcastle have lost when I've been at St James's Park. So you say lucky charm. I'm gonna roll with this one.
You need to come back then, Emma.
Yeah. We'll need to get the club to put a bid in for you. It's deadline day. It might still be time.
Oh, it's deadline day, exactly. I can have a transfer.
To get someone in.
If I get a flat in Tynemouth, I'm sure it'll be an easy process to get the deal done.
Exactly. Now, obviously, everyone will be aware. Obviously, as we just said, this has been recorded on deadline day. It may not go out on deadline day. It may not, but yeah. So we're just going from that. And obviously, you've made a career. Yeah, started. I think. What did you? I think your States were you, where you were studying.
I know I was offered a scholarship over in America, but I didn't. I took a gap year before going to do it, and so I actually used to work for my local radio station during while I was still at school. My last year at school, I worked there every Saturday, and during my gap year, I started helping out more and more, and eventually just worked there freelance and never ended up leaving. So I never ended up doing the scholarship in America, but I'd like to think it served me all right the way that it's all unfolded.
Well, you could also say whether or not you were lucky or unlucky, but you did manage to get paired with a certain Sky Sports Northeastern correspondent.
Keith Downie. Yeah, Keith and I worked together at Rangers. I used to work for Rangers Football Club in the media department, and Keith came in to work for Setanta, as it was then, doing Rangers TV. We had a few memorable trips. Let's just put it that way. What happens on tour stays on tour. I'm going to leave it there. But yeah, Keith Downie, he's a good egg, and of course, another one with a Scottish accent as well, who has endeared himself to the Geordies.
Exactly. It must be that sort of like Scottish spirit. Yeah, we've got quite similar accents in that, I think. So I think it's one of those things that we just all feel at home with each other.
Yeah, I'm not sure about similar accents, but we've definitely got similar sense of humour, and I think that helps. Although we like to wear a coat up here, I might add. That's the one part of being a Geordie that definitely doesn't transfer, because I'm blue-blooded. I need about 3 coats, never mind going out without one.
Well, sometimes we don't. Yeah, there's some fans who don't even wear a t-shirt, let alone a coat.
I know. I remember coming to a game. I'm not joking. I was at that game at St James's Park when Dennis Bergkamp scored that goal for Arsenal. Was it 2002, 2001, something like that? And coming to the game, I came with my aunt and my uncle, and they said, "You can't take a coat to the match." And I was like, "What?" It was like February or March, I'm sure it was. And I was like, "I can't go to a football game without a coat," because we were going straight out after it. And they were like, "Well, you can't take a coat like out." I said, "You're absolutely crazy." So I wore a coat and had to carry it all night while we were out. So I did regret it later on, but I certainly didn't regret it during the game.
Wearing a coat isn't part of the culture up here.
No,
it's just not how we do things.
It doesn't work, I know.
Well, that's how you can always tell someone who's not from Newcastle.
Exactly, I'm sure.
If you're wearing a coat, they're not from there. Around here, you can tell. So obviously, as we stand now, obviously you do work for Viaplay, obviously, yeah, TNT, as we know, because you had made the trip down for the Wolves game, which was our last home win, but we'll not go too much on that one. Big question: are you available Wednesday night?
This Wednesday, I actually am available if you need me, but I'm not currently booked. So, yeah. Another friend of mine actually works at St James's Park as well, Tom Bushell. He does some of the hospitality lounges. Actually, very bizarrely, worked with Tom out in the Middle East in Dubai, and he's now moved back to the UK as well. And he does a little bit in one of the lounges as well. That just came into my mind when you mentioned Wednesday night. So yeah, it's funny how there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
He was also born in the Preston Hospital.
Let's see. I actually think he works in Wings, which is one of
Potentially. Is it one of the bars?
Yeah, it's one of the new sort of like hospitality sections in the
Right.
Leazes End, which has had a bit of a glow up from when it was the old sports bar.
Right.
Glow up in prices as well, but you know, we'll leave the corporate aspect alone for that one. So obviously you came back for the Wolves game. We managed to get the win, which was good because it was the last time we won at home. But I keep on going over it because I don't think I'm over it. I think the trauma is still live there with. So what does it feel like? Yeah, is there something about covering a Newcastle game that different to other games that you do?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like I love it. I enjoy watching the team for a start. So you're always guaranteed to have top class entertainment. But yeah, there's definitely a feeling for me. I mentioned it earlier, just coming back to Newcastle and seeing everybody and just embracing it. I love it. I absolutely love covering the Newcastle games. I've done quite a few reporting on games at St James's Park, but the one against Wolves was my first Premier League one presenting there. So no, it was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and to get the victory as well was extra nice because, as you've mentioned, I'm allowed to come back now.
Exactly, and obviously you also shared, wasn't it that you had a helping hand, or someone who's used to having helping hands at St James's Park, Mr. Shea Given.
Mr. Shea Given, yeah, he was there with us. Yeah, so was Julian Lescott. So it was a nice crew. Yeah, and of course Shea, absolute legend, isn't he? So it was nice to be there with him, having spent a long time watching him.
Well, to be fair, I think he just pimps himself around whoever's got the game on at St James's Park because he seems to be there, whether or not it's Sky, TNT, whoever. He's just like, right, I'm knocking up.
Sign of a good pundit.
Or someone who just wants to get tickets for free so he doesn't have to pay to come and watch them. Yeah, we're not going to course you out that much there. And obviously, you did what all Geordies do after a win. You finished up there and you went down to the Stack and you got yourself a pint.
I did. Yeah, I did. I'd been promised that this place was worth visiting. So, what else is there to do? So, yeah, when we came off air, I went to the hotel, dumped my bag, and then went across and had a pint. So it was nice, very enjoyable, good music. I was quite surprised by how good the music was, actually, because there was something for every age range. There was quite a lot of young people in there, so I did feel a bit older. But yeah, no, the music was brilliant. So, and everyone was having a brilliant time as well, which I think is a sign of a good place to go and have a drink. It's a brilliant facility to have something like that right next to the stadium where you can go in and get a bite to eat and a drink and then head up to the ground and then likewise after it.
Did you try the food, Emma, or just
No,
the pints?
I didn't. I'd had something to eat at St James's Park, so I just had a couple of pints and then because I was leaving early the next day, so I just had a couple of pints and I went back to my hotel.
So that means you double it to 4 pints then.
No, that's my usual tactic, but no, it was only 2 this one.
So obviously you made yourself a custom. You've been to the Stack. You've done all that. How is there any changes that, like, when you come back, you've noticed in that, and you think, oh, I'm surprised that that's there. I'm surprised, or is there things that you miss that used to be sort of like when you
in Newcastle in general, or at St James's?
But like the northeast in Newcastle, yeah.
I don't think I noticed too many things change. I mean, I miss peas pudding. You can't get that up here. Like, you can't get it at all. So anyone who comes to Newcastle has to bring me some back. But no, I just the people. It's the people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just love the warmth the Geordies. And like I say, you know, all my family still live down there. You know, they all go to the Newcastle games when they can. You know, they used to have season tickets, but some of them, you know, with work and things now can't have that commitment. And so it's just a case of coming down and just feeling part of it. You know, I mentioned earlier, like I love Tynemouth, and down there, you know, if I come down, I tend to like rent an Airbnb down there, bring the dog down, go to the beach. Like, I just love that sort of independent high street of Tynemouth with all the little shops and coffee shops and things like that. So it's brilliant. I love it. Used to go to the Spanish City when I was a kid. I mean, that brings me up, but I don't actually even know if it's still there. I haven't been along, but
It's
yeah,
not.
used
It's
to go.
now a school.
Oh right, well there you go. But I used to love that. My aunt used to take me down there and used to go to Tynemouth baths and things like that. So no, I love it. It just brings back lots of memories. And for the first time in a long time, I had a chance to wander around Newcastle city centre the other day. You know, like Eldon Square area and like where I used to go with my gran when I was young. I mean, this is just sounds like me reminiscing, but no, it was nice. You know, it's something you don't often have an opportunity to do when you go to do a game because you arrive in and then you arrive out. But I'd been doing Nottingham Forest Liverpool, I think, the night before, and I came straight up to Newcastle after the games. So I had the sort of morning and early afternoon to do some things. Yeah, and go and visit my grandma and just different things like that. So it was nice. It was nice to have a couple of hours to do some things.
Emma, can I just say, do you feel that the stadium being right in the middle of the city, do you feel that makes a difference to the warmth and the character of Newcastle, as opposed to, say, that, for example, Southampton, that's a little bit out of it, or Tottenham, I know it is in North London, but it's not right in London. Do you feel that makes a difference?
Yeah, I mean, I also think the history behind it. Do you know what I mean? It's a stadium that's been there for a long number of years, and it has that connection with the area of the city that it's in. So you know, does it have? I just think Newcastle in general has a warmth. So I think if that stadium was a little bit set out of the town, you'd probably still have that nature. You know, I come down and do a lot of the Newcastle Falcons games as well with TNT on in the rugby capacity, and I mean they're not having quite as good a season as Newcastle United, but you know, you still get that warmth there, and that's a little bit further out of town. But no, I just think it's the people. I think the people, no matter where you are in the city, like I say, whether you're in Tynemouth, you know, whether you're up near Newcastle Falcons, it's always the same. They're so welcoming. You know, and more often than not, have got a smile on their face.
Now, see, you mentioned Kingston Park, so it's a great little segue into what is the Newcastle United women, who obviously their home games are at Kingston Park. They're averaging probably around about 3,000 a home game. They've got coming up on the 23rd of March, I think it is, the derby against Sunderland women at St James's Park. What, for like you, what would you think it could do for like the women's team to have something like St James's Park packed out to support them against the rivals? Yeah, we did beat them at their ground. I'm not going to say the name, but we beat them there. So what do you think? Is there something special, do you think, about being in front of like a massive crowd at like? Do you think it's something that I don't know. Do you think it just sort of like boosts them? And do you think that could be like a catalyst for them to
Definitely.
finish the season?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I mean, we've seen it with other clubs where they've put the women's games on in the main stadium of the club, and I think one, it gives the players the opportunity to play on that pitch and you know in front of those stands. Two, it gives the fans the opportunity to go along. Three, it gives more fans the opportunity to go along as well. Do you know what I mean? And I actually just think it's the right thing to do. I think it's brilliant for the women's teams to have that opportunity to play in the main stadium. You know, I've seen it up here with Rangers and Celtic. They've both done it, and as a result, the fans have turned out in huge numbers to go and support them and almost buy into the occasion. Add into that the fact it's a derby. Do you know what I mean? It sort of takes care of itself when it comes to the hype and the emotions of the players. And yeah, I just think it'll be such a day to remember for them. And absolutely. And I really encourage the fact that we're seeing it more and more with women's football getting to play. And, you know, it shouldn't have to be really a conversation anymore, I don't think. I think that they deserve the opportunity to play there and, you know, be at the home of Newcastle United as the women's team wearing the strip. So yeah, I think it's going to be a brilliant occasion.
Now, obviously, while we're talking about women, obviously you do work with TNT Sport. When they made the decision, I don't know. See, this is it happens when you get old, you forget. I don't know whether or not it was last year or the season before, but they made the decision that when Jay Humphries left, that they were going to make sure that their lineup and their Premier League presenting lineup was going to be female focused. And that, how does that? Yeah, is that something that you feel supported by when you're seeing like a channel like TNT saying, do you know what? No, we're going to put these front and center because you know what, they're good enough, and that because that's something that does happen. You will see, players like Joey Barton who, just ranted for the sake of it because I think he just wants to be popular with a certain section of the population and that. But is that something that you like try to ignore those who are like trying to knock it and go, do you know what? Yes, these people, like Lindsay Hipgrave, Jules Breach, Laura Wood, and that they all shown on TNT Sport that they can do it and probably do a better job than some of the male counterpart in terms of the presenting there. So is that something that you feel needs to be happening more?
I think we've had to fight very hard to get women into the position where they are in sport, because for years we were overlooked and put into positions that other people thought were the right positions for women to be in. But I think over a number of years that some excellent, very competent women have proved that we can be equally as good, if not better, than male counterparts. The challenge now is you still have a percentage of the population who believe that it's tokenism and that we're there because it ticks a box. And so you've gone from fighting for your position to fighting to stay in the position. And I think that every single person that you've just mentioned there is there on merit. I would argue with anybody and quite happily have a conversation with anyone that these people are in that job because they are the best at what they do. And I'd like to think that, all of the channels that I work with, that is how they think. The best person for the job is in there. And, I think we continue to do a really good job. I find people who make an argument for it perfectly entitled to have their opinion, but everybody doesn't have to agree with that opinion. And at the end of the day, you do still get a bit of stick on social media. I feel more sorry for the people that are dishing it out, to be quite honest, because they clearly live in a very guarded box. But each to their own. I do believe everyone should be allowed to have an opinion, and that's fine by me. I don't have to listen to it though. I listen to people who have a value in my life and have an impact on my life. And, if somebody above me at work is, pulling me up for something, fine, listen to it. I won't take recommendations or advice from somebody on social media who's never done this job and believes they know better than me. If they don't like it, don't watch. That's the way I think about it. But I think every single person, particularly when you look at the TV now, the females that are in strong sporting presenting roles, in my eyes, all deserve to be there and all do an excellent job. And, I'm very, very privileged and very, very proud to be standing on a platform alongside them all. Because believe it or not, we've all worked worked hard and worked our arses off to get to where we are. And it's nice to get a little bit of recognition for it, which I think we do in certain quarters. But obviously, with that, you're not going to please everybody.
Through your work, Emma, and the work of your female colleagues, do you feel that more young girls will feel encouraged to perhaps go into your line of work and work in sports media and journalism? Do you feel that more of them will want to do that in the future now that they've
I
seen
hope
more
so.
women on TV in recent years?
Yeah, I hope so. And I think that's the case. I mean, when I was growing up, there's very few women on TV in a sporting capacity. I really looked up to Hazel Irvine. She's from not far from where I grew up. And, she's absolutely first class. She's excellent at what she does. And, for me, seeing her was fantastic. And I was lucky enough to have work experience at the BBC when she was there and I worked with her. So to me, that was a real sort of an icon for me to try and follow in their footsteps. And I definitely think there are more young women and girls now seeing sport and sport broadcasting as an opportunity. And not just women and girls. I think the demographic is much wider now, and I think that the equal opportunities are much, much more open than they used to be. So hopefully, there's a lot of youngsters out there that can see coming into the media and certainly working in our field is a viable career option for them. And I think with social media, actually, there are far more positions. When I was younger, it was mainstream television that you were striving to work on. But now there are so many YouTube channels, online channels, different strands to broadcasting, that actually there are more positions, and therefore, more people can do this job. So, I just think that, yeah, if you can't see, you can't be. And it's a bit like women's sport as well, women's football, women's rugby, cricket, golf. If you can't see people at the highest level making a career out of that sport, why would you think it was a viable option? When I was at school, I was offered the opportunity to go and I have a scholarship playing football, soccer, and I didn't see where that could be a viable career. I'm talking in the late 90s now. In America, it was really starting to take off, but I sort of thought, well, for me, I think journalism is a better path. But if I was being offered that opportunity now, I would 100% see being a professional footballer as a viable career, because it's right in front of our eyes and it's growing so quickly. I mean, you can see it at Newcastle United, just, how quickly it's developing, not quickly enough in some quarters, across the women's game, but it's definitely moving in the right direction. So, yeah, I think that the whole fact that there are women at higher levels and more prominent, it's definitely great for youngsters, whichever career path they want to go down.
Thank you.
Now, so just getting back, the one thing which I was just going to pop in is that it seems like when you look at the main coverage of football, like the male football side of things, half of the female, sort of presenterships are Newcastle fans. So I don't know whether or not that's just got something to say, because obviously you've got, obviously yourself who support Newcastle, you've got Lindsay who, doesn't hide it, when she's on there, and then obviously you've got Gabby Logan, who's obviously, going to be the face of Match of the Day along with Kelly and Mark. So again, it's there. I also think because Laura Woods has got, her partner who's from this neck of the woods, we might be slowly just trying to bring more on board. But
I'm not sure what Arsenal will say to that.
well, yeah, we'll take them in the semi-final, and then we'll take Longwood as well. That's fine. Now, so we're going to go back to the Wolves game, because obviously it was the most recent one there. What do you find Eddie Howe like as someone to talk to? Do you feel he's guarded? Do you really have to struggle to get the answers out of him and that, or do you think he's open?
I actually think he's a joy. I love talking to Eddie Howe. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I think he's so consistent, win, lose or draw. Obviously, there's disappointment, there's delight, there's different emotions within it. But as someone, he's always so respectful. He always appreciates the role that he plays as a manager. He tries to answer questions as honestly as possible. Look, there are things managers can and can't say. There's things managers want to and don't want to say. So it's whether or not you can not even catch them off guard. It's maybe catch them on a good day where they might be able to give you a little nugget here and there. But what with the headline writers, and you say one thing and all of a sudden it can be blown totally out of proportion. So I don't blame managers for being guarded, honestly, especially one during the transfer window, two when you're trying to manage so many players and fans' expectations, and you've then got the chairman and the board, etc. There's a lot going on for a football manager. It's not just about putting a team on the pitch. But yeah, he's always such a great guy to deal with on and off the camera. That I really, really enjoy talking to Eddie, whether he comes to press or it's just doing the reporting or just having a chat with him pitch side. I think he's a pretty decent guy, and it's really nice to see somebody in high level management whereby they've not really changed. It's such a stressful job. There are so many highs and lows. Yeah, I feel like even since he came in, that he's not really that far away from the guy that walked in the door those years ago.
Now, obviously, we're getting towards the end, so we'll end on little bits of fun. Out of the current Newcastle United squad, who is it you would most like to interview?
What's like to interview? I quite like Bruno. I think he's good fun. He's got a sort of bit of a cheeky personality. I think you could have a bit of a laugh with him.
And if there was any past Newcastle United footballer it could be cliche because everyone'll say a certain one, but if there was a past Newcastle United footballer that you would sit down and have a chat with, who would it be?
Oh, I mean, God, so many. There are so many. I mean, I have interviewed actually quite a few of them. So maybe if like since they stopped playing, so maybe if I had to go for one that I haven't interviewed, it would be Tino Asprilla because I think he would be a great laugh. Obviously, language barriers, etc. But I think you could have a right good yarn with him and have some really interesting chat. I used to love watching him.
It's a great choice, Emma. Also, where do you think Newcastle will finish this season? Perhaps it's a little bit risky not bringing any players in during this transfer window. Do you still think we'll get Champions League, maybe Europa League?
Well, I think, got to dream big, and there's no reason to say why not. Look at the run of wins the team have just been on. Holding on to Isak as well, absolutely crucial. Do you know what I mean? You think talk about players not coming in, but not having him not leave is such a big boost for the squad. Yeah, I think aim high. And hopefully lessons can be learned from the last European campaign that actually the squad does need to be a bit bigger. The squad does need to be a bit stronger when you're trying to do it over the course of a season. You look at Aston Villa this season, they've really found it difficult as well when it's coming off the back of a Champions League game. It just shows you how much investment and how many top class first pick players you need in a squad. So yeah, hopefully Europe beckons and squad reinforcements will come during the summer.
And so we'll go one final question there for you. If you had to pick one game from the past that you would love to have presented on, which game would it be? We'll do it for Newcastle now, but which game would it have been?
I think the 5-1 against Man United. Remember back in the day, was it the Keegan era? Would it have been?
Was it 5-0 with the Philip Albert?
The 5-0. Philip Albert, that one.
Yeah, so 5-0.
So
You're being kind to Man U. You're giving them a goal.
I'm going to go with the 5-0. Yeah, when Newcastle beat Manchester United, because that was a cracker of a game. I really enjoyed watching that one. I was also in the stand when Emery scored the winning free kick against Sunderland. I think that was 2005 as well, because that game had gone back and forth, and just the drama of and I was sitting in the Lisa stand, which was right behind it, and saw it all the way, and it was that was a good game as well. Maybe that one actually.
Well, we're talking about old games, but on Wednesday it will be, I think, was it 16 years to the day? I can't remember this, but it's the anniversary of the 4-4 Arsenal, and that's on Wednesday. So, one, I don't want it to be 4-4 because I don't think
too stressful.
I don't think my nerves would take it. But obviously there has been some great games. Like I said, the 4-4 there, yeah. Probably when we beat Man City 2-1 under Rafa Benitez, when we beat Arsenal 2-0 in Eddie's first half a season in that, And I'm going to say the game that I actually thought you were going to pick, which is why it was a bit of a shock. I thought you were going to go for the Paris Saint-Germain game.
That was a good game as well, to be fair. Yeah, that was a very good game.
I thought you were going to say the 4-4 game with it coming up.
Sorry, you're both wrong.
No, it was just obviously,
There's so many games you can pick from, though. I was just sort of thinking back to my memory bank of ones that I'd watched and found really good fun in the sense of just that raw emotion. But yeah, I mean, the Paris Saint-Germain one was absolutely unbelievable. I was working at another game that night that I can't remember what it was, and I remember seeing the score coming in what? Amazing, absolutely outstanding. I mean, I just think the way that Champions League campaign unfolded, it doesn't take the gloss off the result, but it sort of takes the gloss off the feel-good factor that was there after that game.
Yeah, especially when you're looking at the format this season and going, we probably could have done, better. Yeah. But you know what? Every Newcastle fan is, when people are going, it's the group of death, and Newcastle fans are going, no, what? It means we're getting trips away to Dortmund, Milan, and Paris. Yeah, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, off, go there, enjoy yourself. Yeah, I'll still say this, because I've been to many, I've been the season ticket holder for probably 30 years now. The PSG game was probably the best game I've been to during that time, and that's saying to just the atmosphere. Like I went in an hour beforehand, the stadium was packed. Half an hour before kickoff, everyone was in the seats and that. It was just unreal. And like you said, you had so many TV companies there. Obviously, you had like Kate Abdul from the CBS, and with Micah Richards and Jamie Carragher, who were always up to the antics and that. They were there, like, and you're just like, yeah, this is what it should be, and it is okay. Because I think Newcastle United needs to be shown across the world in that sense, and it's just like, yeah, well, this is what it is, yeah, and yeah, if you, I'd probably want to show that game to any prospective player coming in, going, this is a good
trailer for the club, really, isn't it? It's a good first impression if you see that game, or if you see highlights of that one and how special the atmosphere was that night. So it's great for all fans around the world, especially with how many new fans, of course, that we're getting with the Brazilian at Newcastle. I'm sure there are quite a few fans from Brazil now as well. So it's really lovely to see that.
Oh yeah, that's the one you put on your show reel, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic.
And we'll go with one more. We're going to push you there. If Newcastle United are to sign one player, we'll make it realistic because we are in the PSR world, where we've got to be. If Newcastle were to bring one player in, obviously thinking of areas where you think we might need it, who would you love to see Newcastle sign?
Oh, let's have a look. I actually thought Marcus Rashford would have been a good signing, on loan. But
do you think he'll be good for Villa?
I actually do. It's make or break for him now. He's a good player. You don't become a bad player overnight. Whether his attitude changes or not is the biggest factor here. But Unai Emery's a really good coach, just as Eddie Howe's a really good coach. I think there's definitely a lot more left in him. Whether or not we see it remains to be seen. But as far as who would I like to see Newcastle, I'm now racking my brains. I'd actually just like to see them keep Isak. I'm not going to lie, because the question is, if he goes, who do you replace him with?
Yeah,
and it would leave such a hole. And like you see now with Arsenal, like you see now with Man United, trying to find a striker that can score goals. It's like
it's rare nowadays. Very rare.
It's very, very rare. And it's very rare that they come in and they make the impact that he has done so quickly. Do you know what I mean? He's been absolutely fantastic. Did you have doubts when he signed? Did you think he would be as good as he's been?
I thought he would be as good as he's been. I had a bit of a doubt with Anthony Gordon, but he surprised me. He proved me wrong. And also, I'd like to mention Jacob Murphy, because I thought
he was forgotten at one point. Yeah,
absolutely. But I thought he was going to be on his way out to another side and just have an average career, just go off and do his own thing. But no, he's been a really crucial part to our Premier League campaign this season. And if we are to get Europe, then he's going to be a crucial part of that too, especially with how well he links up with Gordon and Isak. Because
he's got to be, because we've just saw the right winger. But no, yeah, and you're obviously just saying Jacob Murphy on Saturday against Fulham. He actually made his 200th appearance for Newcastle United. And when you think when he was going on loan to like I think Sheffield Wednesday, I don't think anyone would have thought that. But yeah, he's came and he's worked hard. Your question over Isak is, I don't think any Newcastle fan thought he would be this good. I think we thought we'd have a player coming in and he'd do well, but I think he shocked quite a lot of fans at how good he actually is. And you just go, you know what? It's frightening, because you're going, I don't want to go. I think he is probably the one player. You could probably replace Boone, you could probably replace Anthony Gordon, but I just think Isak, and I agree with you, I think he's the one player in this squad where you look and go, if we sold him, there's no one. There's no one really in world football that you could bring in to replace him.
Even with all of that money, because let's face it, if he is to go in the summer, we'll get a hell of a lot of money in for him.
He would cost more than Erling Haaland. Well, actually, I think he probably costs more than Kylian Mbappe.
Maybe not with Haaland's new contract, but apart from that.
But no, but I'm going on the current, what the prices have been. But I actually think Isak at the moment would go for a higher price than Kylian Mbappe when he went to, I think, was it around 200 million initially?
It's an awful lot of money. Yeah, an awful lot of money.
But I think it would take circa 200 million plus to see Newcastle United part with him, because I just think he's that crucial to it.
One player I'd actually love to see playing for Newcastle, and this is a bit of a curveball, but it's Lewis Ferguson, Scottish midfielder. He plays out in Bologna now. AC Milan are being linked to them. Juve have been linked to them. And honestly, I just think with the energy that the Newcastle fans get, he's like a really passionate player. And since he went to Bologna, I mean, he had a really bad knee injury, but he's come back, you know, sort of really, really strongly. I think he would fit that. I think he's the type of player the Newcastle fans would adore. And I think he would absolutely thrive playing in that environment. Like, if he was going to come back to British football, I would love to see a player like Lewis Ferguson playing at Newcastle United, because I think he'd be brilliant. And he's sort of moved into that slightly more advanced midfield role where he can, you know, he's starting to get goals and things now. And yeah, it's a bit of a curveball, but if you're talking about financial fair play and all of these things, it might be one that could work. Not that there's any need for him right at this moment in time, but you never know. If someone leaves and there's a hole in there, I think he might be one to come in.
Behind him.
Yeah, I think they'd love him. I think he'd love it.
Well, thank you, Emma. We're going to let you go and enjoy the rest of deadline day. Yes.
Thank you.
See if there's any surprises in that. Yeah. So we'll say thank you, and we'll see the rest of you when we're next on. So thank you.
Thank you.